Now, you got to hear me, so come with me so you can hear this. Psalm 61, verse 2. Psalm 61, verse 2. I'm going to try to make this as clear and plain as I can. From the end of the earth, I will cry to you. Okay? And this is David. It's one of David's Psalms. And he says, from the end of the earth, I will cry to you when my heart is overwhelmed. But look at this. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Boy, I want to take something and move that around a minute. I want you to catch this. When my heart, I'll cry out to you, when my heart is overwhelmed. How many of you know there are days life will overwhelm you? And I'm a waterman, so I like to use water illustrations. I've been in the water all my life, raised in it and grew up in it. And I love the ocean and I love the water. My wife will tell you when I go to our little place, we have a little retreat little place I go to. As soon as I get there, I'm antsy, I'm anxious. I got to get in the water. And I go and I just stand there and the waves knock me down and just wash over me. Amen. And I just go, I'm home. That water feels like home to me. Yeah. I think I got fins in my body somewhere. And so I want you to catch it like this. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock. You know, when you're in the water, there's a lot of, I wish I'd have put pictures here today, but there's a place called Mavericks in the west coast of California, and it is a wave there that's 40, 45, 50 foot, and bigger at times. And there's a giant cave in front of the wave. I've been there. And that wave goes running towards the beach, and it comes offshore, and sometimes it's traveling 100 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour underwater, and it's just rolling. When it goes down into that cave, it hits the edge of the cave, the two sides of the cave. When it does, it shoots up in the air, and it throws this wave 40 foot. And when that wave is 40 foot, 50 foot, you can't imagine the speed that you're traveling on a little styrofoam, plexiglass, plastic surfboard, fiberglass. In that process, right in front of it is rocks. And look, that's Mavericks right there. That's a picture of it, but they're not showing you the guys on it. If you show the picture of the guys on it, my wife and I stood up on that cliff. And that cliff and that wave are eyeball to eyeball. And there's enough power on one of those waves to light up a city. That wave, when it breaks, if you can get to that rock, you can find safety. Say, Lord, thank you. When the world overwhelms me, I'm going to search for the rock. I'm going to climb. That's why you like coming up here, because up here, there's no waves up here. We're above the waves. Can you hear that? He's higher than I. Higher than David said, I need a rock that's higher than me. Recently, I went hunting at the request of, and I've mentioned it, of my youngest son, along with his young teenager. And there's old pictures now on the thing of me standing there with guns in my hand and all this kind of stuff. And because I was raised around it. So I was raised around hunting, and we eat what we hunt. So I was actually shopping for a meal. And when I went hunting with my youngest son, and along with his young teenage son, one of his sons, we had a blast. It was a great time. My son just went out to Colorado recently, last year, the end of last year, to hunt elk. And he shot and killed a 750-pound elk. And we're eating it. I had some yesterday. And elk meat is just absolutely the best. It's lean. It's not fat. It's good for you in that respect. And no gamey taste at all. I mean, it's not the wild you might think. It's great, great food to eat. And we got a freezer now. He's got it, we got it, others have got it. I think he's even given some to Daniel. And but we eat that meat, and we've been eating it and really enjoying it. So I'm invited now. Get this picture. This is the picture I want you to see. I gave you all that ahead of time. So I'm invited to go hunting to shoot these Canadian geese. They fly 40 miles an hour, and at full wingspan, when they're migrating, they fly 70 miles an hour. So you have to shoot like this, boom, and you have to throw the shell way in front of it for the bird to run to it. It's a real trick. Now, I grew up hunting, and I can't count all the geese that I've shot over the years as a young man. I just couldn't even begin to count. Ducks, geese, rabbits, squirrels, all of that. And in this, I want to tell you how the story was to me, okay? Just for a second. And now, many years later, after all the years of hunting as a young man, I'm walking for hundreds of yards in more clothes than I'd like to have to wear, with these big giant boots, mud everywhere. The boots are covered in mud, thick gooey mud. I've got clothes on the clothes on. And I don't like that anyway. And I'm walking, and I got a gun in my hand. I got shells in my pocket, and I've got a goose blind that's I'm pulling. Now what that is, you lay out in these fields, and it's like a lawn chair, and you lay in this lawn chair, and you get inside this papoose. You know, the Indians had those things they put their babies in? Well, that's what this is. It's camouflage, and then it's got two sides to it that are all camouflaged with stalks of corn. Old corn is all over it, and you got these straps, and you actually lay right in the field, and the decoys, if they had a picture, they'd show it to you. The decoys are all around me. So now, I'm climbing up this massive mountain, a hill. It's huge, hundreds and hundreds of yards, in old corn stalks and corn cobs with mud everywhere. I got clothes on like you can't imagine. I got a shotgun, and I'm carrying this bed I'm going to lay in. And it's freezing. Wind is blowing. I mean, the wind is just whipping. And I'm walking along dragging this thing. And I'm thinking, and see, my grandson, he's just skipping right on up the hill. My son, he hunts deer, he hunts elk, he hunts every year. He shoots deer all the time. He's just scooting up the hill. Here comes Pop. And I'm looking up that hill, and the hill has to be on an escalator because the hill is moving. As I'm slopping along, it's going that way, and I'm going, I have got to get there, because you have to get in there, get set up, and get quiet, get still, set all the decoys. We put 80 to 100 decoys. You got to get down, quiet, and lay. So the night geese that come out of the river, out of the waterways, they come in the field at night. And then in the morning, they leave the field and go sit in the water. So you got to get everything set up, because you don't want to be in there moving around when they start to fly, and you can hear them. Oh my gosh, how many of you have ever heard Canadian geese? You know that sound, right? Look, 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 look. And they just make this noise. And so we're down in there, and gosh, we're working, and we got to get it. And when you get in this thing, you cannot move. Oh my God, 4 hours. 4 hours. See, I don't have the same knees anymore. When I lay somewhere for 4 hours, when I get up, I have to tell this body, hey, fool, start moving. That's the three of us. And see those geese? They ain't real. They're the fake ones. As we're trying to, and you can see how wrapped up we are. You see that? Now that's Father, Son, not the Holy Ghost. That's Father, Son, and trouble. Because when he began to shoot, shells were hitting me on the head. Hot shells firing out of his gun. And I said, kid, I'm gonna ding you in the head. Bang, bang. My dad taught me a lot of skills and a lot of things, but he taught me, how to tough it up. We'd go hunting or we'd go fishing. We'd go out in storms. There's a story in the History Channel about my dad rescuing a bunch of men that were going to drown on a big crane out in the ocean, out in the water, and all that story's there. And my dad was a, tough kind of guy. He was raised that way. How many of you know it was a generation coming out of World War II? Yeah. They had to be tough. Yeah. Now we're raising up a generation today ain't so tough. That's another message. Now, so I really have this propensity against weakness. I never did when growing up. I never liked it. I don't like it today. Hello. But when you read the scriptures, you can't avoid weakness. As I follow Jesus, but I also see that I'm supposed to have a particular attitude towards weakness that's really opposite from how I look at weakness. Are you hearing me today? I mean, when I look at Paul, Peter, and James, winking, blinking, and nod, these three guys came up with something about weakness. Are you hearing me today? Put 2 Corinthians 12:10. I like to use the NIV, please. I should have told you that before. I'm sorry. 2 Corinthians 12:10. And they talk about delighting in weakness. How many here? But I got to tell you something. As I said in the offering, God is doing something different most of the time in our lives. We think that he's, preparing blessing for us when really he's preparing us for blessing. You see, the work of God is more important to God for him to create faith in you than it is to deliver you from the things that cause you to be weak. You got to hear this now. 2 Corinthians 12:10. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness. Come on. In insults. How many of you believe Paul was tilted? There's something wrong with this guy. See, he said, I delight in insults. Some of you run, cry, pout, whisper, gossip, because somebody insulted your flesh. He said, I delight in weakness, insults, in hardships. Oh my God, now we're eliminating whole generations. I want the job as long as it's not too hard. I'll help as long as it's not too hard. Come on. He said, I delight in persecutions. Okay, take your pen and just scribble through that. Because if you scribble it in your Bible, you won't be responsible. If you just mark it off on your Bible, you're free. And he says, I delight in difficulties. These are strange people. How do you hear that? How do you know what we do? Soon as we're in difficulty, hey, help, pray for me. Pray for me. I'm just suffering. Difficult. Life is so difficult. Persecution, hardship, insult, weaknesses. Oh Lord, how shall I make it? For when I am weak, then I'm strong. You mean if I'm in those situations, I'm going to end up somehow strong? Is this the way that God works? He lets you on a regular basis experience those and other things because he wants to make you strong. But as long as you start off strong, you never find out how strong you can be, because you can only be as strong as you're able, and you're not able to be strong in all situations. You have to have somebody in your life working in you that's stronger than you are. You got to have a rock that's worth swimming to. You got to have a rock that's higher than you. James 1:2-4. He said, consider it pure joy. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. There's some, you go through sicknesses and you go through, I got to say this. I've said it for years. Men are sissies. Some of you just puffed your chest up, well, you call me a sissy. Yeah, come down here, I'll talk to you right in front of your face. You're just a chicken-delivered sissy. Because, see, women go through birth pains and all that. And men, I'm there for you. Shut up! Be instead of. Don't be for me. And then a man gets a cold. Okay. I can't talk. Oh my God, it's don't work. I'm dying. I'm dying. Ladies, look at me. They won't know that you and I are in agreement. Just look right here. They'll just sit there and wonder, is she thinking that about me? Just look right here. It's just Bishop, and I'm agreeing with Bishop. Like my friend Wellington Boone wrote the book, Your Wife's Not Your Mommy. Look at this. Consider pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind. Can you see that? Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. You've got to have a perseverance attitude about living in this world. Living life when Satan is absolutely after you. You know the only reason Satan attacks you is because he's threatened by you. The only reason Satan ever attacks you is because he's threatened by you. Because if you ever start believing what the Word says you are in Him, he knows he can't stand against who's in you. For he knows that greater is he that's in you than he that's in this world. So he knows that you are about to cause him headaches in every way. So now your testing produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. I don't care what the psychiatrist says. I don't care what the doctor says. There is a formula of God that can fix you and fix you permanently, that you don't have to be a reoccurring sinner. You better hear me. Some of you have bought into the lies of Satan, and he has you on the treadmill of always coming back to the same issue. And I want to tell you, I was a drug addict, but I am not anymore, and I never will be. I'm never going to be again. I'll never again go that way. Do you understand me? And if you don't get this in your head, you'll walk around and you'll be a person that needs psychiatric care the rest of your life because somebody tells you that you're broken. Somebody gives you a formula for personality studies, and you lock yourself into that personality study, and you think you're that person forever. But my God takes a man named Simon and makes him Peter. He made a reed turn into a rock. My God took a man named Jacob, means supplanter, deceiver, con artist, and turned him to Israel. The joy of my heart, the apple of my eye, the jewel of my heart. Look at Romans 3:5. It produces character. Can you hear this? It produces character. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings. Oh my God. Because we know that suffering produces perseverance. There it is again. Perseverance, character, hope. Can you hear that? It produces hope. It produces character. Listen, saints, God works in our life to create circumstances that cause us to realize we have failed, broken human character. And God has to change our character so our character can be like Him. Hello? And if you didn't have sickness, you'd never understand the power of healing. If you didn't understand what it meant to have nothing, you'd never understand what it means to have some money. Paul said, I've learned to be abased, I've learned to abound, I've learned to be without. I've learned in whatever condition, whatever state I find myself, to be satisfied, content with God. Because He's the author and the finisher of our faith. You see, God's after faith. He wants to produce faith in us.